Ladies and gents, we are back with another Nottingham Forest match preview, and let me talk to you about Manchester United, the 13-time Premier League champions, our upcoming opponents on Saturday afternoon in our second away trip of this Premier League season. Of course, in these match previews, we open by discussing Nottingham Forest in the time between our previous fixture, discussing injuries, new signings, and how our last game went. We'll then spend some time providing some context on the season thus far for our opposition, discussing their most recent matches. We'll then take a deep dive into the stats on both a team and personnel level, discussing some of the key players for our opposition. And then of course I'll round things out by giving you my scoreline prediction for the match. So of course it goes without saying, if you enjoy this kind of stuff, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe whilst you're down there, ringing the notification bell so you don't miss these match previews or the last few scout reports we have coming in the latter stages of this transfer window. With that being said, let's start talking about Manchester United. So of course, in our previous fixture, our first home game of this Premier League season, Forest came away with a late and dramatic 2-1 win against Sheffield United, with Awoniyi and Wood getting the goals on the day to dull the blades. Of course, in hindsight, the scoreline should have been a lot more comfortable on the day, with Forest outshooting their opponents 16-7 with 4 shots on target compared to 3 from the Blades, and expected goals put in the game at 1.37 to 0.5. And that really was the key narrative of the match for Forest, with us dominating the opening 45 minutes of the game, scoring early thanks to a tidy finish from Taiwo Awoniyi with his second goal of this Premier League season, but not really killing the game off and giving Sheffield United the opportunity to get back into the game during the second half. And to be fair to them, they did very well to get back into it. Gustavo Hamer netting an absolute beauty on his Premier League debut for the Blades, but that really was one of the better opportunities that Sheffield United were able to muster throughout the 90 minutes, with their best chances coming from either individual defensive mistakes from us or good pressing in the final third from them. On the whole, save for those 1 or 2 individual defensive mistakes, I'd say we did a pretty good job defensively against Sheffield United. We need to be taking lessons from this match and killing games off much sooner, especially by the hour mark. We should have had this game sewn up quite early in the match, considering some of the high quality opportunities we were able to generate for ourselves quite early in the match, like I say. But it's lessons to learn, especially going into a very tough run of fixtures late in the month. From one United to another though, Manchester United fell to their first Premier League defeat of the season on the road, losing to Spurs 2-0 at the new White Hart Lane on Saturday evening. And despite what the scoreline says, it was actually quite an even affair between the two sides, with Manchester United marginally outshooting Tottenham 25-16, with both having 6 shots on target and expected goals put in the game around 2.5 apiece. In fact, I'd even wagered that Man United were the better team for quite long stretches of the match, particularly during the first half. I also think that Man United's pressing on the day against Spurs was pretty good, especially during the first half, with that front 5 pack pressing the Tottenham backline aggressively and extremely efficiently, preventing them from really breaking out that first line of the press. The problem was during the second half that Tottenham were able to break through the press more often than not and leave United extremely outnumbered and isolated, with a lot of their players committed forward in the press. I'd argue when the first line of Manchester United's press is broken, they look extremely soft on the underbelly. Casemiro looks physically like he's kind of dropped off a cliff at the beginning of this season, really struggling to get back into the defensive shape for Manchester United and leaving that back line extremely isolated. We didn't just see it against Spurs, we saw it in that opening game against Wolves a couple weeks ago as well. And that left lots of space in central areas for players like Maddison and Sarr to just break through and transition into. And we saw this, like I say, against Wolves as well, where players like Nunez and Cunha were able to break through those lines extremely quickly and basically run at that defence and cause them all manner of problems. And with new signing Mason Mount out at the weekend for Manchester United, I do worry how that's going to affect their press, because I actually think he's been pretty good for Manchester United in the opening weeks of the season, especially off the ball, which is one of the big reasons why Erik ten Hag wanted him so badly. And I worry how that's going to affect the balance of their press, as well as the energy in the midfield trying to regain possession in the midfield third. Of course, though, things aren't going to be quite that straightforward for Nottingham Forest in terms of beating this Manchester United side, because Manchester United possess some of the best players in the country, and I want to spend some time in this section profiling some of their key players. Two of the biggest stalwarts in this Manchester United side, starting with the English talent Marcus Rashford. Of course, the Englishman is coming off the back of his best season for Manchester United to date, netting 17 goals and providing 5 assists for his teammates over the course of the last Premier League season, which accounted for 38% of the goals scored by Manchester United last season. And his underlying numbers were exceptional for United last season, creating the 5th most chances, completing the most dribbles, having the 3rd most shots per 90 and the most shots on target per 90 minutes for Manchester United in the Premier League last season. Of course, though, we're not really seeing the best of Marcus Rashford at the beginning of this Premier League season, as he's been shoehorned into the number 9 position for Manchester United, where really you're going to see his best football coming off the left-hand side of their attack. And in terms of dealing with him as a winger, traditionally he wants to come inside and aggressively attack central positions. So if you can force him to stay wide and towards the byline, he's not going to have too much of an impact on the game, unlike a more modern day winger like a Bukayo Saka or a Gabriel Martinelli, who can come inside but also take on their man 1v1, head to the byline and create chances. And then of course you have the new Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes, who much like Marcus Rashford has undeniable quality in this Manchester United side. Last season he was in the top 10% of attacking midfielders and wingers for progressive passes, passes into the final third and passes into the penalty area. And despite the fact that he is a void for possession for Manchester United, it is undoubtable that Bruno Fernandes is a world-class number 10. But if you can disrupt his play and frustrate the Portuguese playmaker, you can really cause some problems in him getting settled into matches and sort of throwing his toys at the pram. And I'd really suggest getting players like Danilo in his face and preventing him from really getting into his pomp in this match. So let's wrap things up and discuss some of the key points with this Manchester United side. And I want to start with a recent quote from Erik ten Hag, where he stated he wanted to make Manchester United the most transitional team in the world, or the best transitional team in the world. And you can really see the impact he's having on this team in terms of achieving that goal, with United often hunting impacts of 5 or 6 to counter press and turn possession over high up the pitch, with no team having completed more high turnovers in the Premier League at this early stage of the season than Manchester United, and this is by quite a large margin. United's pressing in the final third is going to be extremely dangerous, and when we have periods of possession, which will probably be few and far between, we need to be extremely careful and decisive with the passes we make. And then you have Manchester United's build-up, which has been a bit all over the place in the early stages of this Premier League season. Against Wolves, they tried a 3-2 build-up where Luke Shaw would come into the midfield and create a box midfield alongside Casemiro, with Lisandro Martinez going over to the left, Varane through the middle and Wan-Bissaka on the right hand side. But this didn't really work. Wolves were able to stay nice and compact and prevent United from building through central areas, forcing the ball into wide areas where United really are less effective in their build-up. And I really think there's lessons to take away from that Wolves match for Nottingham Forest in terms of the way that Wolves set up to defend against this Manchester United team, sitting nice and compact both vertically and horizontally and preventing United from building through central areas. And I really think we should be doing something very similar to that, sitting nice and deep, but especially nice and compact horizontally, keeping the team nice and narrow and preventing United from building through those central areas where players like Eriksen and Fernandes can dictate the game and cause us lots of problems. So what do we actually want out of this match against Manchester United? Because it seems like a first win at Old Trafford in nearly 30 years in the Premier League would be an unlikely ask, even with the form Manchester United have been in at the beginning of this Premier League season. In terms of more intangible ones from this game, I want a spirited performance, something like what we put up against Arsenal in that opening game of the Premier League season, where defensively at stages we kept a good shape, we were nice and compact, and we made the most of the attacking opportunities we were able to get. What I'm saying is we need to make Manchester United work for this. And in terms of a scoreline, I think it'll be pretty tight. A 1-0 win probably for Manchester United seems to be on the cards. But if we can keep them working for this game and have something to carry on into our next away game, you never know what could happen against Chelsea. Of course, though, let me know your thoughts on the Manchester United match in the comment section down below. And whilst you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video, including these match previews and the last few scout reports before the end of the summer transfer window. And that being said, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the game if you're going Reds. I will catch you later.